Few business operations have ever been constructed to require so little continuing intelligence in corporate headquarters.
The Chinese market is going to create a lot of successful investors. If you look at Hong Kong, which has been full of Chinese people enmeshed in a capitalist order with a good securities market, that is going to spread all over China and increase in respectability and size for decades ahead. I anticipate that China's security markets and investing practices will get better and better for a long, long time. There'll be fluctuations, to be sure, but the long-term trend will be toward more achievement, more respectability, and higher prices. The Chinese who've gotten rich in Hong Kong over the last 50 years are not the short-term traders and the gamblers. It has been the long-term investors who sought out good long-term investments and stubbornly held them for long periods of time. And just as that worked for the Chinese in Hong Kong, it'll work for the Chinese on the mainland. It's not the short-term gambling that's good, it's the identifying the good long-term investment and sticking with it for a long time. My Berkshire Hathaway stock cost me $16 a share, and it's now selling for almost $300,000 a share. That's been a very good investment. It took a long time, and it was a long-term investment where I liked the people I was investing with, and I liked the companies I was investing in, and I just sat there for more than 50 years. And lo and behold, it's worked out very well. And there are lots of stories like that. And Lilu and I have been investing together in China for 15 years, and we have bought a lot of securities and we've sold very few. I have not made very many bad investments. They've been small and not very many. I don't have many bad investments. Neither does Lilu. Basically, the Mungers have three stocks, so to speak. We've got Berkshire, we've got Costco, and we have an investment in Lilu's partnership. Three things. I'm well along in my 95th year. Three things. I think there's more value for the investor if you buy the best companies in China or the best companies in the United States. I think that at current prices, the best companies in China are selling cheaper than the best companies in the United States. The Chinese don't have to go abroad to find good investments. They've got plenty right in their own country. There's some awfully strong companies in China that are selling at reasonable prices. China is opening up more and more to foreign investors, and its markets are getting stronger and stronger with more participation from the world outside of China. That's all to the good. And eventually it'll drive some prices up in China. If you look at China with the viewpoint of a United States citizen, here is what you see. When the Chinese first came in here, they were trying to build the Transcontinental Railroad in the winter through horrible passes in the steep mountains. And nobody could do it. It was impossible. People were dying and it was just too hard. So they brought in like 50,000 Chinese coolies who were in those days practically slaves. And they took those coolies up into the mountains in the winter and they, you build a railroad. And they did. And the Americans couldn't do it by themselves. Well, that of course made a very favorable impression. Well, fade in, fade out. And now we've had all this immigration of Asians, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, so on. And what have those Asians done in America? Well, they've come in and rapidly become doctors, lawyers, professors, businessmen, and so forth, and succeeded mightily. And if we go to our symphony orchestra, which didn't used to have any Chinese in it, every instrument that's hard to play and takes unlimited practice. You look up from the instrument, there's a Chinese face. Well, of course, we find people popular who are succeeding so much in our country, and they're not causing a lot of trouble. They're just succeeding. And so naturally we like the Chinese. And I don't think the ordinary person on mainland China understands what an image of success China has in the United States, because the Chinese Americans have done so well here. And the most extreme thing of all that nobody could have anticipated, nobody ever talks about it, and you should talk about it in your magazine, is because there was so much poverty in China and it was so overpopulated. If an American couple were unable to have children of their own, they could always go to China and adopt a Chinese girl from a very poor family. So in every important city of America, people soon learned they got better babies taking the unwanted Chinese girls from the remote Chinese farms. But those babies, on average, worked out better than if had their own children. And so everybody wanted to adopt a child. They don't want an American child. They want a Chinese girl. And of course, all those girls worked out well. And most people in China don't realize how extreme that's been. That's happened in every American city. Every American private school is full of the discarded Chinese girls from the Chinese countryside, and they're getting all A's and winning the prizes. And of course it makes a favorable impression. And every city is full of these adopted Chinese girls being raised by American families, and they're spectacularly successful, even though they come from a background of poverty.